Happens sometimes. More than sometimes, always. We're going to be paying a visit to Kim Purusha Varsha. Would you like to know, after Lord Ramachandra completes his pastimes, where does Hanuman go? Answer, Kim Purusha Varsha. Question, where's Kim Purusha Varsha anyway? I'd hope you'd ask. Kim Purusha Varsha is one of the 9 Varshas that are at the base of Mount Sumeru. And Mount Sumeru is in the center of Jambudweep. So if, in case you want to know what is Jambudweep, you can read 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and you'll find all about the structure of the universe. And it's very interesting. It's a little not easy to understand it, but there's 7 islands that are circular, with one at the center, an island that's at the center that's circular, and its name is Jambudweep. And Jambudweep has as its center a golden mountain, but it's a very unusual mountain. It's a mountain where the base is narrower and the top is wide and flat. Very tall. And at the top of that Mount Sumeru, there are 9 celestial palaces for the protectors of the different directions of the universe, the Digpals, they're called. With Lord Rama, he has his summer home up there at the center, and then other devas surrounding. And at the base of Mount Sumeru, this is extra. You need to remember any of this to know about Hanuman. But if you want to know where Hanuman, we're giving you some GPS directions how to get there. Hanuman is in one of the 9 Varshas surrounding Mount Sumeru, and the Varsha, or tract of land, is Kim Purusha Varsha. North of Kim Purusha Varsha is Hari Varsha. Hanuman is in Kim Purusha Varsha. And what's Hanuman doing there? You know what Hanuman's doing. He's singing the praises of Lord Ram. And in the 5th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, which includes a description of Vedic cosmology, so there's a description of the different parts of Vedic cosmology, and one of the parts of Vedic cosmology is the central island of Bhumandala, Jambudweep, and the various Varshas, and there's a little section of Kim Purusha Varsha, and there's some nice prayers that Hanuman is offering to Lord Ramachandra at Kim Purusha Varsha, and that's where we're going. Canto 5, Chapter 19. You can look it up later. Don't do it now. We're going to go through some of the verses, but because I'm going to give some of the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra first, we're going to get only through half, and then I think the day before Lord Ramchandra's appearance day, Ram Navami, we'll do the other half. Coming attractions, right? Stay tuned for coming attractions. But they're very nice prayers because Hanuman has such love for Ram. And Hanuman is known as many by different names, but he's the son of Vayu. And so as the son of Vayu, he has powers, mystical powers, including the one that you see now. He can jump and fly through the air at ease. Of course, he only jumps when he has some service for Lord Ramachandra to do. So this is one of his jumps. And the place where he was born has a a nice temple towards the top of the hill. You see that white line circling around and around and around. There's many, 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 many steps. Has anyone here been to this place? Anjanadri, the hill where Anjana, his mother, gave birth to him. Anjaneya, the birthplace of Hanuman. Nice place. The description, briefly, is his mother, Anjana, was actually married to a powerful Vanara who hailed from Mount Sumeru. Remember Mount Sumeru, the Golden Mountain? So her husband, Keshari, resided there. And one time she was in the evening hour going for, she had a very beautiful form, features, and the wind was blowing, and Vayu became attracted and enamored by her, and made a suggestion, because there was a plan, backing up in time, there was a plan where the personality of Godhead had given a promise to the Devatas that he would help rid the earth of the terrible demon Ravana and his brother Kumbhakarna. But he wanted them to assist him, and the way that he wanted them to assist him was they should produce offspring on earth who could assist him in dealing with Ravana. And so this was Vayu's contribution. The arrangement was made that her virginity was kept intact, yet she gave birth to a son very quickly in the form of a Vanara. And so one of Hanuman's names is Anjaneya, or arising from Anjana, his mother. You know the pastime. Most of you know the pastime. We'll just recite the pastime because it's nice to hear pastimes of Ram and Hanuman and great personalities like this again and again. When he was a small boy, he saw what looked like a ball in the sky. Playful child, he wanted the ball that was in the sky. So he started jumping towards the sky to get the ball. But it wasn't a ball in the sky, it was the sun. And he went soaring and soaring and soaring, and the Devas became afraid, what's going on here? And so Indra sent a thunderbolt to stop his forward movement. Thunderbolt hit his jaw, and he came down and down and down and down and landed on top of a mountain. And you see there's Indra giving his blessing in the form of a garland, and all the Devatas and Brahma and Shiva and everyone gave Hanuman various blessings when he's just a little boy. And the arrangement was made that he would forget all of his supernatural powers until that time came when someone would remind him of his supernatural powers. And then, until then, he just was living like a Vanara, or a very interesting person. But of the intelligence of a demigod in the world where he looked externally, and others also looked like Vanaras or monkeys. So on the occasion of searching for the lost Sita, they were in great distress because they couldn't find Sita. And the time that they were allowed that had lapsed to come back and report whether they had found her or not. The time had passed, and so they were considering just fasting till death by the side of the ocean. But fortunate for them, Sampati saw them, and Sampati made his way to where the Vanaras were and informed them that he knew where Sita was. I'm leaving details out for those of you that like the details because of time. Otherwise, we'd be here for more time than we have for the Sunday program. Sampati said, I know where Sita is. Although I lost my wings, he gave the description of how he lost his wings. I didn't lose my eyesight. As a vulture, I have the capacity to see faraway distances, and she's over there. She's just on the other side of the ocean in Lanka. And she was, because I saw her soaring overhead, passing by when Ravana was carrying her, and right now I can see her. She's there. And so they had an idea. All the Vanaras, and there you see Jambavan, the bear, and they want to verify, but it's the leap across such a large, vast tract of water. No one knew if they could do it. But Jambavan knew. After everyone said, I can go this far, I can go that far, I can go that far, but I can't. I can go all the way there, but I can't come back. And the whole idea is to verify that she's there. You can go and verify, but you can't come back. That doesn't do the job. So Jambavan knew of Hanuman's power. And Jambavan started speaking to Hanuman. And as he was being reminded, because the benediction was, his power should be forgotten until somebody reminded him. So Jambavan's reminding him of his childhood and his great power. So here's a little drawing of Indra hitting Hanuman in the jaw with his thunderbolt weapon, and Hanuman went crashing down on top of that mountain. He also reminded Hanuman that when he was just small, he would make his body really big, and sometimes he'd just pick an elephant up and toss the elephant around. Hanuman, you're the one to go and find Sita crossing the ocean. So we're not going to talk about his crossing the ocean because that's another wonderful story. But Hanuman started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He got really big. And he got up on top of Mahendra Mountain and he crouched and made his way. It's a really beautiful description of Ramayana. And he went soaring through the air. He had obstacles, but he made it anyways. And when he got to the other side, there was Lankini, who was protecting Lanka. And there was some benediction that she knew that one day she would meet a monkey and he would bring destruction to Lanka. And sure enough, he brought destruction to Lanka. Now, those of you that are familiar with Ramayana, I'm just saying things, showing you pictures. And those of you that aren't familiar with Ramayana, maybe you'll want to become familiar with Ramayana just hearing like, what's all with this? Because there are some newer people here. But it's very nice. The Ramayana story is very, very nice. And by the way, in case you want to hear some more of details and finer details of Ramayana, some of us, and you're all invited, some of us will be going to Gitanagari. That's our ISKCON farm in mid-Pennsylvania. Maybe you've heard of it. Gitanagari Farm. It was once known as New York Farm because New York Temple bought a farm in Pennsylvania. If you're in New York City, why do you buy a farm in Pennsylvania? But it was a brilliant idea anyway. So it's Gitanagari. And we're going there to have a retreat during the Memorial Day weekend when you just really don't know what you're going to do with yourself. So you just come to Gitanagari and hear lessons from Ramayana, from devotees. I mean, the love that they have for Ramayana will melt your heart, even if you don't know what Ramayana is. You'll feel the love that they have for Ramayana. I promise you. I promise you. So, you want to hear more of the details, come to Gitanagari for Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure there are going to be people from here going, just hop on the bus and we'll see you there. I'll be there too. So, things happened when he reached Lanka, and he gave a warning. He burnt the city of Lanka, and so many things happened. And then the Vanaras came in force. But another one of the miraculous efforts that Hanuman did is when Lakshmana, you see in the painting, Lakshmana was hit by a weapon by Indrajit, sent by Indrajit, a very powerful mystical weapon. And he was, as they say in Ramayana, laid low. He wasn't killed, but he was knocked down. And the doctor, the royal physician, is doing his Ayurvedic pulse there. And he knew the cure, but the cure had to be secured from a mountain that's way up in the Himalayas. No problem for Hanuman. So Hanuman was sent to go get the mountain. And look, here he comes with the mountain. Gandhamana, he couldn't find the herbs, so he brought the whole mountain. He knew that the royal physician could find what the herbs were, and the herbs were administered, and sure enough, Lakshmana was revived by the wonderful, heroic, powerful efforts of Hanuman. And then later, aside from the Shakti Shela weapon, there was another lance made by Mayadanava that was hurled by Ravana himself. And there we go again. You see up in the top of the painting, Hanuman went back again, but this time it wasn't the Gandhamanana mountain, it was Mahendra mountain. And he brought the whole mountain again. Mahodaya mountain. So there's the lance. There's Ravana on the left side with many heads, many arms. And there's Ram over the body of his dear beloved brother. Many Vanaras bewildered what to do, but Hanuman knew what to do. He brought the whole mountain again. And here's the royal physician. There's Sugriva and everybody. Sugriva is the one with the crown on, by the way. And they administered, Shushena is the name of the physician. He administered the Sanjiva Kanani herb. Hanuman to the rescue, and he was revived second time. So Hanuman has great powers, son of Vayu. So here's the introductory verse to these many verses. There's 8 verses. I think we'll have time to cover 4. So this is the introductory verse. So it's Canto 5, Chapter 19, the first text. I'm not going to read all the Sanskrit. Translation. My dear King, Shukadev Goswami is speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. In Kimpurusha the great devotee Hanuman is always engaged with the inhabitants of that land in devotional service to Lord Ramachandra, the elder brother of Lakshmana and dear husband of Sita Devi. And he has other associates, he's not alone. A host of Gandharvas is always engaged in chanting the glories of Ramachandra. That chanting is always extremely auspicious. Hanumanji and Arishtasena, the chief person in Kimpurusha, constantly hear those glories with complete attention. Hanuman chants the following mantras. So we don't hear so much about Arishtasena, certainly not in Ramayana, but in every tract of land, every Varsha, just like every country or every city or every state or province or whatever the nomenclature is, there's somebody in charge. So Hanuman isn't in charge. He's always in this mood of being the servant of the one in charge. And he's serving someone who's a great devotee of Ram. And that's his humility. It's also his great majesty, his mightiness comes by pleasing Ram in that way. He's the emblem of perfection in the mood of serving the Supreme Lord, in the mood of Dasya, or the servant of the Supreme Lord. So he served the Rishyasena, and their activities together are singing glories of Lord Ramachandra. The first time Hanuman met Lord Ramachandra was when Hanuman was in the service of another king. What was the name of that other king? Sugriva, right? Sugriva, right? That was the brother. Sugriva or Bali? Which one was he in the service of? Sugriva. Sugriva. Just checking so you're not asleep. I do this with children sometimes, but sometimes you have to do it with adults too. Okay. So he was in the service of Sugriva, and Sugriva was like, he had the heebie-jeebies. He was really nervous about what tricks he might be up to, and here's somebody dressed like a mendicant, but carrying bows and arrows and the stature of warriors, and who are these people? Maybe that's a trick. And Hanuman, you're really expert. You disguise yourself as a mendicant, and then you go before these two and find out what the deal is. You're my spy. You're my intelligence operation. Please go. So Hanuman leaped down the mountain from where Sugriva was hiding out, and as soon as he came before Ram, he immediately understood by the countenance of Ram, he's a person to be trusted. So he revealed his full identity, who he was in the service of, what his mission was, and he submitted himself to Lord Ramachandra. Later, by transcendental arrangement, the plan was made after Vali was slain to find Sita. So when it came time to find Sita, the Vandas were sent in the four directions. Hanuman was sent in the southerly direction with the group going in the southerly direction. And Lord Ramachandra gave him his personal ring. So when who he trusted, because Sugriva said, and he knew it also, he's the Supreme Lord, he'll be successful in finding Sita. Give her my ring. So she'll know it's not just a trick, it's not somebody with a mystical power showing themselves before her. Show her this ring, she'll know you're my representative. And so Hanuman was so grateful. This is Sugriva instructing Ram, he's the one, he's going to be successful. Nice painting. There's Lakshman behind Ram. Somehow they have Lakshman and Ram with a beard. I don't know about that. And there's, of course, Jambavan and many other Vanaras. So here's the first of his prayers. It starts, Om Namo Bhagavate Uttama Shlokaya. Let me please your lordship by chanting the Bija mantra Omkar. I wish to offer my respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who is the best among the most highly elevated personalities. That's Uttama Shloka. Your lordship is the reservoir of all the good qualities of the Aryans, people who are advanced. Your character and behavior are always consistent, and you always control your senses and mind. Acting just like an ordinary human being, you exhibit exemplary character to teach others how to behave. There is a touchstone that can be used to examine the quality of gold, but you are like a touchstone that can verify all good qualities. You are worshipped by Brahmanas, who are the foremost of all devotees. You, the Supreme Person, are the King of Kings, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Now, sometimes we find in pastimes of Krishna there are devotees of Krishna who are so captured by the sweetness of Krishna's qualities and pastimes and loving exchanges that they do not see his majesty, his divinity. Now, as close as Hanuman is, he's not unclear. He's very, very clear. So his mood, Hanuman's mood, is a Vaikuntha mood, or the eternal spiritual realm of Lord Ramachandra is, this is a quiz question, Ayodhya, right? Ayodhya, right, Ayodhya. So where's Ayodhya? Anyway, well, let's do a little, I'll use my hands. Here's where we are. This is called Devi Dham. This is Brahma Samhita. Above Devi Dham is the abode of Mahesh Dham. Above Mahesh Dham is the abode of Lord Hari or Vaikuntha, Hari Dham. And above Hari Dham, Goloka Dham. Devi Dham, that's where we are. Mahesh Dham, Hari Dham, and Goloka Dham. There's a nice verse. I'll say it's just even if you don't understand it, it sounds nice. So just Goloka namni nijadamni tale chatasya Devi Maheshu Haridama Suteshu Teshu Te Prabhava Niyatashvihitashchayena Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Nice verse. So Goloka Namni, Goloka is the name, Nija Dhamni, his own Dham. Goloka Namni Nija Dhamni Tale Cha Tasya, it's his place. Whose place? Govinda's place. And Govinda's place is above Devi Dham, Mahesh Dham, and Hari Dham. And so where's Ayodhya Dham? I hope you would ask. Ayodhya Dham is the highest of the realms of Hari. Highest because in Ayodhya, Vaikuntha mood, the majesty mood is there, just like Hanuman is representing in this verse the majesty of Lord Hari in the form of Lord Ramachandra. At the same time, there's an intimacy that isn't found in the rest of Vaikuntha. By intimacy, what does that mean? For example, in Vaikuntha, who is the Lord of Vaikuntha? Narayana. Does Narayana have a mother and father? No. Does Ramchandra have a mother and father? Yes. That's the sweetness. Does Narayana have brothers? No. Does Ramachandra have brothers? Yes. And so forth and so on. There's intimacy in Ayodhya, but it's not the same intimacy as in Goloka. So it's in the uppermost region of Haridham, just below the realm of Golokadham. Isn't it nice to learn things? So that's where Ayodhya Dham is. That's the eternal abode. And yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, because this Thursday we'll be honoring Lord Ramachandra's appearance, so I don't want to get ahead of myself. But from time to time he descends when there's discrepancy in Dharma. So one of those discrepancies in Dharma was when Ravana was doing the Ravana thing. And there was a lot of adharma, too much. So the Devas appealed to Lord Vishnu, please help. So he descended from Ayodhya. He descended from Ayodhya to this realm to perform wonderful pastimes. That Hanuman understands his divinity, at the same time he understands his sweetness. And that's going to come in the second half, the day before Ram Navami. Stay tuned. So Lord Ramachandra is known for his power, one of the powers in defeating not only Ravana, but many other persons with his prowess. Who was the first of the demons that Ram killed with his powerful bow? Tataka. So, how did he show his prowess before to get the hand of Sita? After that service was done on behalf of Vishwamitra Muni, they could have gone back, but Vishwamitra Muni said, let's go visit the palace of King Janaka. Why? Because you're the Supreme Lord and your eternal consort, Sita, is the daughter of Janaka. And he, King Janaka, has arranged a special requirement for someone who's going to take the hand of his daughter in marriage to be able to string the bow of Lord Shiva. What's the bow of Lord Shiva, anyways? Well, it's a long story, and I don't think I have time for the long story, but I'll tell you a short version of the long story. Once upon a time, Mayadanava made powerful bows for both Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to see who could defeat the other. And when the bow of Lord Shiva was handed over to an ancestor named Deva Rata, the bow of Lord Shiva was handed down in cyclic succession from one king to the next king, and it became the property of King Janak. But who's King Janak? We have to read Ramayana to get to know who is King Janak, but if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, King Janak is one of the 12 greatest authorities of all time. He's way up there, King Janak. He's perfectly virtuous, perfectly knowledgeable in all the Vedas, in proper conduct in everything. He's a perfected person. And he has as his daughter the goddess of fortune. And he understands her great qualification. So he wanted to create a situation for someone who wanted to marry his daughter, that they would show their prowess that's beyond an ordinary person's power, because she's the goddess of fortune. And he knew it, because he's a great authority. He knew it. So the arrangement was, whoever was going to marry my daughter had to lift and string the bow. And there's different versions of Ramayana, as you may know, but one of the versions of Ramayana says, King Janak wanted to train his daughter in good conduct. So one of the things he wanted her to do was to be humble. So he gave her some areas in the palace to clean. And one of the areas in the palace to clean was where the bow of Lord Shiva was kept. And so she was so thorough. With one hand, she lifted the bow. With the other hand, she cleaned underneath the bow, put it back in place. And he said, yeah, I can't have my daughter marry somebody that can't lift the bow when she can lift the bow. That wouldn't be good. And there's another version that said one time the girls were playing with a ball and the ball got stuck in a tree. And so what to do? So she went quick and ran the bow of Lord Shiva and got the ball down from the tree and put the bow back. Sita wasn't a weakling. She was the goddess of fortune. And so Vishwamitra Muni knew he knew it because he was very wise, but through the association of Lord Ramachandra, he gradually became purified and came to know of his divinity. And so Vishwamitra Muni, great sage, wanted Ram to marry Sita. So on the occasion, there you see that the breaking of the bow was so intense, people were knocked over because sound makes vibration. And there's Sita ready with a garland to accept her new husband, because he was able to, that the requirement wasn't to break the bow, it was just to lift it and string it. But to bring the bow forward, it took 30 men. You see, this is another artist version. It took 30 men and a cart that was pulled by wheels just to bring it forward for the prince or king to try to lift the bow and string the bow. So not only did Ram lift the bow and string the bow, but he broke the bow. And beautiful painting. Look, Sita, she's holding on to her father's cloth. Nice painting. That's my new husband. And there on the right side, there's Vishwamitra Muni, and behind Ram is his brother, Lakshmana. This is a photograph of the palace. I don't know how recent, but recent, where King Janak's palace was. And this is a painting of his brother Bharata offering worship of the shoes of Lord Ramachandra. Now, later, there's a nice description when Lord Ramachandra was coming back after finishing Ravana in Ayodhya. And you look over on the left side, that's Jambavan. And of course, on the right side, that's Hanuman. And in the middle, that's also Lakshman. And Lord Ramachandra, wanted to. Now, there's a popular saying, and I'm not going to get into it because it'll take too long. There's a popular saying that Madhvacharya refutes, like pretty intensely. He refutes the popular saying that Lord Ramachandra felt that because he had killed Ravana, who by birth was a Brahmana, he wanted to purify himself for the wrong that may come to him for killing someone who was born a Brahmana, although his behavior was not that of a Brahmana. So he wanted to get purification by worshiping Lord Shiva. And another time I'll tell you what Madhvacharya has to say. He has 3 explanations in his Mahabharat commentary. Someone shared this with me recently. I haven't read his commentary, but he's quite familiar with. He has some friends in the Madhva Mat, and he has dialogue with them on a regular basis on different things. What Madhva's teachings were. That's not the reason, according to Madhvacharya. It's not at all the reason. It's a misconception. But in any case, it's a very popular conception. And the conception is that there's Lord Ramachandra worshipping a Shivalinga. And Lord Ramachandra gave the name, this Shivalinga. And they asked Hanuman to get one. So he went, but he took too long. So Sita fashioned a Shivalinga with her own hand, and that's the Shivalinga that was worshipped. Later, Hanuman came, but it was too late because the worship had already been done. So Ram very kindly placed the Shivalinga that Hanuman had brought side by side with the one that Sita had fashioned. And now some people like to say, we don't like to say this, the place is known as Rameshwara because Shiva is the Ishwara of Ram. But it's not that Shiva is the worshipper of Lord Shiva, and therefore he's subordinate to Lord Shiva. But Rameshwara indicates that Lord Shiva, is a great personality who is worshipable deity. His Ishwara is Ram. Anyway, so the discussion goes on. Where this took place is pictured here. We made a visit to South India with many devotees. It was a very wonderful visit. There's the place where Ram worshipped that Shivalinga. Now, one of the other powers that Ram had, what to speak of worshiping a Shivalinga, just by his glance when he wanted to cross the ocean. Now again, there's different versions of Ramayana. Some say it was his glance. Some say he shot an arrow into the ocean started to boil, or he glanced. Either way, very, very powerful. And there's Samudra, the Lord of the ocean, who's come forward asking for Lord Ramachandra, what service would you like? So Hanuman's in service of Lord Ramachandra, knowing how powerful he is. That was the first of his prayers, verse number 3. And here's verse number 4. The Lord, whose pure form Satchit Ananda Vigraha is uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, can be perceived by pure consciousness. In the Vedanta, he is described as being one without a second. Because of his spiritual potency, he is untouched by the contamination of material nature, and because he is not subjected to material vision, he is known as transcendental. He has no material activities, nor has he a material form or name, only in pure consciousness, Krishna consciousness. That's Prabhupada's embellishment. It's not right in the Sanskrit, but that's okay, because that's pure consciousness. Can one perceive the transcendental form of the Lord? Let us be firmly fixed at the lotus feet of Lord Ramachandra, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto those transcendental lotus feet. Now, when you look at this painting, when I look at this painting, it reminds me of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, at the lotus feet of Narayana, or at the lotus feet of Vishnu, because it's the same. Now, we'll mention it again. There are different processes of devotional service, and Hanuman is the perfect personality in the mood of dasya, the mood of service to the Supreme Lord, one of the ways of devotional service. And another way of devotional service is padasevanam. And there she is, Sita, at the lotus feet of Ram. So padasevanam. Now, it's not that her legs don't need to be massaged. She's been walking around barefoot in the forest like he, but she loves to serve him, and he's happy to have her in that loving mood. And of course, there's Lakshman, who didn't sleep because he's standing guard in case there's some animal or some kind of difficulty. And he loves serving Ram also, but in filial affection. So there's this variegatedness, the sweetness that's there in Ramchandra's pastimes. Another such person is Guha, who is the Nishada king, and he took this liberty which Ram normally didn't allow, but he allowed Guha to wash his feet, and there's Lakshman watching as he's washing his feet, and he's allowing him to wash his feet and then sprinkle the foot water on his family's head. This is the place where Guha assisted Lord Ramachandra to cross the river Ganga. Now, it's a pretty tepid river Ganga passage, but Guha was very expert, and he very kindly was assisting Lord Ramachandra to go into the forest, which was his own volition. He accepted the request of his father, which wasn't really his father, but anyway, to go into the forest for many years, and of course with Sita with him. Now, I want to be respectful of your time sequencing, and according to the clock over there on the wall, it's 20 minutes after 6. So I think it's time to end. I will continue on Wednesday, I guess. So some of you won't be here, some of you will be here. And if you're not here, it'll be broadcast Zoom. And you can watch even remotely, or you can come, and we'll do part 2 of Hanuman's wonderful prayers. And he's going to disclose a nice secret. It's a secret. But he's very strong about it. He declares the secret very boldly. It's not possible. His secret is, it's not possible. He says in 2 verses, it's not possible that Sita and Ram could be separated. It's not possible. So if it's not possible, then what happened? Well, we'll hear what happened. Hanuman knows the secret. Shh. So, do we have time to take some questions, Premananda? 1 or 2? 1 or 2. Well, if anybody would like to discuss some of these points or glorify Hanuman if you like, or anything you like. Yes.
We see that all India people are worshipping Hanuman, and we see that he's a servant of Lord Ram. He wants to be the servant. So how should we worship Hanuman? Because his desire is to be a servant, but we are worshipping him.
You worship him as a servant. The principle. The principle is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it pleases the Personality of Godhead even more if his beloved devotee is worshipped. But we should worship the beloved devotee not as the Lord, but as a dear servant of the Lord. So when we offer respect, like, here's a nice Vyasa-san where Srila Prabhupada's on a nice elevated seat, and we want to respect him. Now, we respect him in a way that's appropriate, meaning because he's so dear to the Supreme Lord. And we worship Hanuman, we respect and worship Hanuman the same way. I mean, we worship Prabhupada, we perform arti, Guru Puja, we perform arti for worship of our founder Acharya. But it's not he's God, and it's not that Hanuman is God or to be worshipped independently from. Don't tell that to Hanuman. We're worshiping you independently of Ram. You get a fist in your head. Don't do that. He's dear to Lord Ram, and Ram is very pleased. So we respect him in that way, in relation to Ram. We have something up front.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, in sequence to that question, some people.
This question,
yeah.
Okay.
Some people have this attraction towards Lord Ram versus Lord Krishna.
Yes, they do.
So how?
Not versus Lord Krishna, but stronger with Ram.
Yeah, right. So how do we? They kind of, when we talk about Krishna, Lord Krishna, they're still very
Ram.
Right. So how do we understand my question?
Oops. Well, they have their love, and we respect their love. We want to support their love, and those persons that I know that have profound, not just curiosity, kind of fascination, kind of interest in Ram's wonderful story. They have a profound love for Lord Ramachandra. Some have profound love for Lord Nrsingadev. There's one ISKCON devotee. His main deity in his home is Lord Varaha. So that's fantastic. So how do we understand it? It's they have a natural or a spontaneous or a very personal, loving attraction. And what is it about Lord Ramachandra? Just ask them. Hit their Ram button and they'll tell you what attracts them. And it doesn't mean that they don't have attraction for Lord Krishna. They just have a transcendental affection for Lord Ramachandra or Lord Nrsingadev, etc., etc., etc.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Okay,